Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What's up, Zorro?
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon.
So, for people who don't know, Zorro's been on my podcast, but he's never been on Deconstructing Islam. Deconstructing Islam is a weekly live stream where Usama is my usual co-host, not here today. We help those struggling with Islam, and we help the outside world better understand us. I forgot to put this. And this is part of Uniting the Cults, a nonprofit to rid the world of apostasy laws. I'm going to go through a couple more things, and then we're going to get talking. Okay, Zorro?
Okay.
We have a new thing, a manifesto. Please read, sign, and share it. I call it the End Apostasy Laws Manifesto. It's a tactical manifesto that explains what we're doing and what you can do to help. And we have our anniversary coming up, June 14th, where I'll be joined by Maryam Namazi, Wissam Sharafuddin, Apostate Alauddin, and Zara K. We're going to be talking about the goals and the progress over the past year and next steps going forward. That's enough for now. So I was saying what we're talking about today is the Big Bang. Who put the bang in the Big Bang? Was it God or something else? And so I want to say we have something planned for this with Usama. Usama was planning it. He's the expert. I'm not an expert. I know a little bit. Zorro's not an expert. He knows a little bit. So, and Usama couldn't come today, but he's going to come next time. We're going to fumble around with it. And actually, I think this will be good because our audience is also non-experts on this issue. So they get to see how some non-experts deal with it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, do you know anything about the Big Bang? Like, did you study it in school? Did you study afterwards?
No, not in school. Nobody teach you that in school. I don't know why. Like in Middle East, they didn't talk about it.
I went through school, physics, college, for a 4-year bachelor's degree, and I don't remember talking about the Big Bang or learning about it. I think that's something that's, something you learn more PhD level. Or if they did teach me, like, it was very little, and I learned a lot more things after school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and, we're not just talking about, obviously, Big Bang in the context of physics, but the connection to theology. And, when you are studying Big Bang in physics in school, you're not talking about the theology aspect of any of it anyway. So that's definitely something I learned later. One thing I want to start with is the history of this all. So religions already had their own conception of what made the universe. And that existed for a long time. They have different stories, but they're all kind of the same thing. A being made the universe. But then, like, I don't know, 100 years ago or something, when it came to Einstein's relativity, I don't think it was right away, but what they recognized was and this is where I'm hazy on things, but one of the implications of Einstein's relativity is that the universe is not static, which they thought it was before that the universe is static. Like all the stars and solar systems, all of them, the way they are now is how they were before and always will be. And what they recognized was, no, all of it's been changing, and they think that it's been expanding from an original point. And then, then the religions saw that, and I think they co-opted it because initially it goes against their theory. You know what I mean? Because it goes against the static universe theory, which everyone thought was the case. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Even with the evolution, before they were against it, but you can see now they are trying to cope with it, and they say that's all the process.
Yeah, isn't that interesting that they were against it initially?
Yeah,
so much so that they were. How do I say this? Like they would consider the scientists doing blasphemy.
Mm-hmm.
And they would charge them for blasphemy, and not just Muslims, but Christians too.
Yes, because they find out after years of clashing with science, they found out they are losing this way, because science is using logic, provable theory.
Well, I don't even think that's the reason. I think the reason is tons of people were recognizing that science is right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and you know, if you're against science, like the religions were at the time, then that's going to push people away from religion, and the religions don't want that. So they decided to co-opt the science.
The best way was to cope with it instead of just facing it and battle with it.
Yeah, and I'm saying co-opt it means take it and say it's ours.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
because what they do is they say, "Oh yeah, our Quran said that already before you guys said it."
1400 years ago. Yeah, they do that all the time.
Yeah, but the people that were in Islam 100 or 200 years ago weren't doing that. Is the opposite of that.
Yes.
So I find that very interesting. You know, that they kind of switch positions like that, but it's not the same person switching positions, because those people are dead from you know. Like the people, the religious people that were against these things, you know, when this stuff was coming out, well, they're dead now. This is a new set of people, new set of Muslims.
Even the people today, the people who believes in religion today, the thing is, I noticed that most of them, they don't try to find the truth. They don't try to find what is really happening. They just put a goal in their head, and they're trying every way, and they will be opposite you in every mean just to prove that goal. So that's why it turned up, instead of, okay, this story come from religion, is, I'm not sure of it, it's not logical, it's not
clarify though, what's the goal?
They put the goal like for existing of God, or the
goal is to
my religion is
find
right.
evidence that agrees with the God theory.
Yes. So
that's a crappy goal.
Yeah, he already put the goal.
Because the goal should be,
yeah.
Let's clarify what the goal should be.
The goal should be, I don't know what is the truth, and I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna try to search for it.
So let's be more clear though with the same language. So the goal they have is find evidence and arguments that agree with our God theory. And I'm saying the goal should be, no, find evidence that disagrees with our God theory, because if you find one, you're done, it's gone, you throw it away.
Yes, because if someone creates all these details in the universe and us, he shouldn't do wrong. He shouldn't do mistake. There should be no errors. But when you find one error, that means it didn't come from intelligent engineers or something.
Yeah, and you don't even have to go that far and say, you know, God is perfect, and that's why, you know, we're arguing these things. You know, God does claim perfection. So if you find one flaw, that contradicts the perfection concept. But separate from that, in science, the way we deal with things, the way we deal with scientific theories is one flaw refutes the theory. We don't want to look for evidence that agrees with our theory. That's meaningless. Actually, let's do an example. I wonder if you know this one. Let me give a little bit of the history. So I don't know how long ago. I should go look up the date. A long time ago, many centuries, somebody wanted to help people understand the bad logic that they're using. So they said, all right, you see a bunch of what is it, white swans, this is in Europe, okay? They only see white swans. So you come up with the theory, all swans are white, okay?
Yeah.
And then the idea is, it's a question. What happens? How do you adjust your theory when you find another white swan? Does it increase your confidence in that theory? Well, if that's what people are doing, here's where it doesn't make sense. If you find a single black swan, it refutes the theory that all swans are white, and it didn't matter how many white swans you found. It should not have increased your confidence at all, ever.
Yes.
I should look up how old that is. I'm going to look it up real quick. All swans are white. How old is this shit?
About the perfection, I remember I had a debate with some Muslims in the past.
2nd century. So the year 200 something.
That's
So all these people who don't know this are like 1100 years behind in like catching up to the human knowledge. You get what I'm saying?
yeah. About
Sorry, what were you saying?
perfection, they even some of them they think everything is perfect. The universe, the us, the lives, everything. It's becoming perfect way, and I had debate with them. I was explaining to them it's not that perfect. It can be better, but they don't accept that. I remember one time the guy he's Muslim, he was debating with me. He told me the earth, let's go back to the Big Bang and the universe. He said the earth going around the sun in perfect circle. If we go few miles away, we will be frozen. If we become closer to the sun few miles, we will burn. And I proved to him, I explained to him, then I asked him to Google it. That's the Earth is not going in perfect circle. It's actually going something like oval, and there
Yeah,
is.
but that doesn't change the point he was making.
Well, he was thinking it's. We talk about perfection because some people
I
think
mean, what's wrong with saying an oval is perfect?
he think if we, according to them, according to the ordinary people who believe in religions and believe in designer, they think if we become few miles away from the sun, we'll be frozen. While the Earth during the year become million of miles
Oh,
away
I
and
see
closer.
your point. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, they could have said more than a few miles, but I have a bigger problem with it. Okay, here's my problem with it.
yeah,
If you look at, first of all, we don't even have this knowledge, but if you imagine all the planets in the universe,
yeah,
and we don't have a record of all of that yet. You know, we know some of them.
yeah.
If you look at all the planets in the universe, and let's say 1 or 5 or 10 of them or 100 of them or 1,000 of them had like the really good conditions that allows for life to evolve, like us.
Habitable. Yeah,
Yeah. You know, that doesn't mean that this one was perfect. If this one wasn't like that, we wouldn't be here to be talking about it.
exactly.
There would be some other people talking about it
Yeah,
who did have that scenario.
they look at it in a different view. They said it's made for us, so we will be lucky and comfortable, and the temperature is good, the pressure is good, and it's being made for us. Like they put the stand. They don't realize that we cope with that standard for millions of years
Okay.
to be us today. It's
Okay,
not
so
the
let's
standard
drop the
this standard
universe one
for us.
though, universe perfection. Let's talk
Yeah,
about the human perfection. They say humans are perfect too, and I don't get how they say that because it's really easy to just talk about, okay, example, Down syndrome, human being.
mm.
What's How is that perfect? Another example is the nerve in the neck. There's a nerve in the neck that in giraffes is very exaggerated to see this problem, but the problem exists in lots of animals like that has a neck. This nerve evolved from an earlier animal that didn't have a neck, and that nerve, back in that earlier animal with some kind of fish, was just taking a straight line, from here to here, right? And then
Mm.
once a neck evolved, well, what happened was the nerve is going around something, I don't even know, it's going around some bone in the neck and then back to
It's
the
going
brain.
to the wrong way. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's fine in us, whatever. Okay, so it takes this extra trip when it could just go straight over.
Yeah.
But in a giraffe, the neck is much longer. It's still, instead of just going from brain to brain, it goes the length of the entire neck around this little bone and then all the way back up to the brain.
Yeah.
That's goofy. That's not perfect.
Yes. Evolution did that for
Yeah.
a period of millions of years. Yeah.
Billions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how long. Maybe at least a billion. I don't know when
Well,
fish is.
we've been here 60 millions ago when the asteroid hit and uh, killed the dinosaurs. But mammals, they've been there before that. We consider mammals.
You said what are you saying? Marbles?
The mammals.
Mammals.
Yes. they've been before. Like I think dinosaurs are mammals. Or other creature. I'm not sure, but mammals been before that. Before the asteroid hit, human being uh, uh, came to Earth after the asteroid, and the asteroid helped human to come, because the big creatures in the Earth, the big animals, all died because of that asteroid. Yeah,
And it allowed, yeah, a bunch of
and that
smaller animals to
helped
thrive without
small one
getting
like
eaten.
us to come. Yeah,
And that was perfect too.
yeah. The asteroid being hit because of us, just to bring us. God sent it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
So,
you can do that to any story. You can do that. You can say it's been there to any story. Like you travel in a plane and it's landed safely just because someone protected. If that someone didn't protect it, it will fall. You
I
can
mean,
do
yeah,
that to anything.
and that's how all the superstitions and mythologies, you know, were generated and then stuck around. And that was before the concept of, well, let's check to see if our theories predictions actually happen, and if not, throw it out.
Yeah.
And if your theory doesn't even make predictions that could be tested, throw it out for that reason.
Yes.
And that rules out all superstitions. That's how we know that something is a superstition.
Mm-hmm.
And then we throw it out because it is.
And though all this happening, all what people doing today, like they adopt all the scientific approved theories and consider it as religion, all that happening because what I started to say, because they put specific goal for them to reach to that goal, not actually to reach to the truth. And that's why they said everything happened for a reason, everything happened, and the goal was for us to exist. So they put a goal in their argument. They put a target. They put the results already. The conclusion. They put the conclusion before the search.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
cart before the horse.
that's what make they make them adopt
Well, let
any
me say it another way. This
proven
is the way
idea.
I say it a lot now.
Mm.
Uh, two ways to do things. The wrong way is, I want something. These are my preferences. These are my wants, and then I'm going to decide what's true by which things agree with my wants. And notice this doesn't work well because the wants are static in this scenario. There's no way to update them. But the better way is the way that allows progress is you try to figure out what's true first, and then with whatever wants you have, try to change them to agree with the truth that you figured out.
Yeah.
So a real example is there's people who want punishment in the afterlife because they feel like people who are not punished here need to be punished later, and not just punishment, but the reverse thing too. Victims that didn't get justice on earth, they should get justice in the afterlife with heaven. They want that as a first thing, and then they decide there must be a God to match my want, you know, to give me the afterlife. And you know, they're deciding by feelings rather than logic.
They are way away from logic. If I can give example about the logic,
Yeah, go ahead.
uh, I have my friend, and we were talking face to face a few years ago, and he was like saying this evolution is BS. It cannot be true. It's how we come, how we are monkeys. We didn't come from monkeys, but we just consider one of the apes. So I told him, okay, you don't believe. I just go down with him and I talk to him in a way he understand. I don't. You don't believe that we are apes. We like he according to him, he said we were monkeys, and he even understand the evolution wrong. He think we were monkeys and then we
Yeah,
become human. So
yeah.
I thought, okay, if you don't believe that, okay, because it's unlogic for you. Why do you do believe that some human being become monkeys? Because there's in Quran, God says he become angry of some people and he turned them to monkeys. So
Really?
you believe? Yes, and he believed that. I told him, if you believe that, why you
Oh,
don't
shit.
believe this? This is science and this is religion. And for you, if this is BS, the other one should be BS as well. And he couldn't answer. Why? Because they are out of logic, and when you argue with them with logic, with their logic, they can't answer it.
Well, part of why he's not answering is, first of all, he's not even trying to find
Yes,
contradictions in his ideas.
yes, because he put the conclusion ahead, the results.
Because
Yeah,
when you're searching for evidence and arguments that agree with your position, that
yeah,
means you're ignoring contradictions
yeah,
by method.
yeah.
Because as soon as you take contradictions seriously and say this means the idea is wrong, well, that's the other method I was saying, which we do. We're trying to find evidence and arguments that refutes the theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was very young, I don't know, probably 10 years old and probably earlier, I understood contradictions to be a very central role to a lot of things. And maybe I learned it in math. You know, I was learning math in school very early. That's how you find out that you did something wrong. Is, oh shit, I see a contradiction.
Yeah.
So I was doing that first grade.
This is actually really good. It's very good for students in your age, because I see that people, they spend 50, 60 years and the way they think, and you can see there's contradiction, and they see it, but they try to ignore it, or they don't
Yeah,
think
they don't
about
know what
it.
to do. That means they don't even know what to do with it. What even the role of a contradiction is in everything.
Yeah, they don't know that. Yeah, exactly. A lot of them. And when you ask them about how that contradicts, you have two ideas and you believe in both of them, and one contradict each other. They can't answer. They try to answer about
Let's
something
clarify.
else.
Let's clarify some more. I've noticed something. Let me do an example. There was a show on the History Channel, and it's entertainment, but you know, it's trying to talk about science. And they were talking about the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yeah.
And what they said was they made a computer model of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and in the computer model, they couldn't get it to stand the way it stands in real life. It kept falling in the computer model. And then they concluded, this is the sentence they said, the building, the physical building, defies the laws of physics. This is ridiculous. This is
Yeah.
the okay. That's not the right conclusion to take. The right conclusion is, and let me just say the idea more generally. When we see a contradiction, it does not imply that there's a contradiction in nature. It implies a contradiction in our knowledge about nature. So the show shouldn't have said the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the actual physical building, defies the laws of physics. What they should have said is the computer model does not correctly reflect reality.
Yeah.
It contradicts reality. There's a flaw in the computer model.
Yeah.
And this is something that a lot of people get confused by, not even just religious people or people that don't know a lot about these things, because I have found that a lot of people end up with that conclusion of, oh, that means this whatever thing, whatever physical phenomenon that we're talking about defies the universe's rules. You cannot defy the universe's rules. That makes no sense. And by
There's
the way,
still
even God can't. if God made the universe, even
Yeah.
God can't defy his own rules.
There is still a lot of theories about universe that is not proven. Like science knows some, but there is a lot of stuff that science didn't answer it yet, and the search is still on. Like one of the theories says why our universe has gravity. So some of the theories, which is not proven yet, it says our universe, it might be in a big black hole. The whole universe. It's a black hole, and we are inside it. All what we see, it's inside big giants black hole. It was interesting reading this stuff recently about some theories or some.
Well, here's the point: we don't know, and nobody has presented a theory that would explain like how or why. Definitely not why, but not even how. If the Big Bang happened, how did it happen?
Yeah.
You know, or like what event sparked it or anything like that. We don't know that. We don't have any theories that could explain that.
Yes.
And to be clear, just because we don't know that doesn't mean God.
Yeah. Yeah. God, in this case, just filling the gaps. You know, the ordinary people, the people who believe in religions, they just anything they don't know, they just say God. Just
So
like the sun eclipse,
yeah,
it was for centuries. They think God did that.
yeah.
Yeah. Till
So
science explained.
Mulhaj al-Islam says, come on, we all know Hijra al-Aswad created gravity. Do
The
you
one
know
in the one in Mecca,
what is Hijra al-Aswad?
the black stone,
The black stone
the
that
black rock.
created. He's saying that created gravity. We all know that.
That's Kaaba, the one in Mecca.
Yeah. He's
The
making
Kaaba.
a joke. I'm sure you could tell, right?
Yeah. So sometimes I wonder about the universe. I say, like the multi-universe theory. Let's suppose or imagine there is other universe. What is happening in the other universe? What if there is some universe has zero gravity? Is the
Well, I don't even know what you mean because when we say what the universe is, we're saying it is everything.
multi-universe? It means another universe outside of this universe.
Well, I don't know what multiverse theory you're talking about, but the one I am aware of, it's not a different place; it's a different time history.
Yeah. Einstein theory.
Uh, it's after Einstein, but it's related to it. It's an answer to the quantum mechanics, and it's not just theories. What I mean is that they actually collected evidence on this kind of stuff to the point where David Deutsch invented the quantum mechanics, a computer that can work on quantum mechanics, and companies are using that now. So it's not just a theory that hasn't been tested. And the idea is something like, the different universes are not different places; they are different time histories of the same one. Anyway, I don't know that much about it, and that's beyond what we're talking about here.
Yes, it is complicated, or maybe it's easy, but we are not that expert in it.
Yeah, they would say it's easy. They would say it's easy, but so this computer or it's called a quantum bit instead of the instead of the, I don't even know what it's called, the classical bit, or the smallest, the transistor of a classical computer that we use today only has two possibilities, but in a quantum bit it's a lot more than that. And from my vague understanding of how it works is the computation starts, it divides up into multiple universes, does the computation, and then they all combine and you get the delivered result with multiple computations happening or have happened in multiple universes. Yeah, and I don't really know what any of that means. I don't know how that's a thing.
Yes.
but they actually making computers that do this stuff. It's not commercialized yet, but they're trying to commercialize it.
It's a lot of interesting stuff about the universe. As always,
Yeah, and now here's the thing.
Yeah.
Where's the quantum computers mentioned in the Quran? Or are they gonna say, "Oh yeah, we found it. Here it is. We knew it before you guys."
Yeah, but they didn't speak about it till the science discovered it.
Exactly. They don't say it before.
They don't say it
The
before.
science has to say it first, and then they say, "Oh, here it is. I found it. We had it before you." But they don't say it first, obviously.
Not only they don't say it first, they have a conflict with it in the beginning. Then they
yeah, for a while. Yeah. Maybe they'll be faster now.
Yes.
With the internet.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All of us grow up as kids, the school, the parents, the society, the television, the program in the television. It makes people like we just be like parrots. What you call the birds? Parrots. We just repeat what our parents says.
Yeah.
And when we get to age of 25, 30, then if you have the right environment and the right space, you try then discover yourself. But I'm sure there is millions of people, majority, they stay this way since what they teach you when you are a kid. You stay that way till you are end of life, till 70, 80 years old. I think it's only the few people who, like you, me, and other people who think logically in life, in universe, in science. And for me, it took me many years till, because there's contradictions all the time. Like I force myself to believe what my parents taught me when I'm a kid, but the contradictions was killing me. And
you cared about them.
Hmm?
You cared that there were contradictions, and you recognized it means it's wrong.
Yes, I can't cheat myself anymore. I can't lie to myself anymore. And then it wasn't easy. It was shock for me when I give up on what my parents, because I love my parents, because I love my family. So it's emotional also involved in your way of thinking. But I'm glad I did it, because now I know how life is going on. Before I don't do things perfect, hoping God or some superpower correct it for me. Now I know if I don't do it right, nobody would do it right. I have to do it right. I don't need to rely on imaginary stuff. That's changed big things on me, because I was bad at it personally. I always, when I can't do something, I just hope God will do it for me, or God will help me, or you know.
Yeah,
Now I'm more prepared when I want to do something, especially dangerous stuff. Driving.
That's something that came up in one of our live streams, where what we figured out was, and this is not true for all theists, but a lot of people who believe in God, they don't try to fix things in this life, and they're leaving it to God to fix it.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some theists that don't do that. And maybe, it's a little bit mixed. They work on most things for themselves, but then they leave the rest of it to God or whatever. But an atheist can't do that. And I'm not saying that, all atheists are going out and fixing things. Lots of them are sitting at home doing nothing. They're not fixing anything, but at least they know that, not God is doing it. Maybe what they're doing is they're hoping other people are going to fix it. I want to do a comment here. Andrew Gillett, I think that's pronounced, says, I don't know if the Big Bang happened. One problem is that there are spiral galaxies fully formed in farther parts of the universe. And he's saying the Big Bang Theory wouldn't predict that. I don't know about that. I have to hear more details. I don't know. Never heard of that. If you want to give us more details, please give it to us. And Mulhad Islam says, I'm not sure. Is there a spelling error there? Bait Allah is a quantum computer. Have you seen what is inside the black cube?
That's a black rock.
It's a quantum computer, you say. What does that mean? Bait right in the front. Bait Allah.
Bait Allah.
Oh, Bait Allah.
The house.
In Arabic. I'm thinking bait in English. That's funny that I can't switch like that.
He's telling you the quantum computer is there in
Yeah.
the black cube.
All right. So other than the physics, what else do we have left to talk about that's on the theology side of things related to the Big Bang?
Well, there is a lot of stuff in the universe. You can't just talk to them about an hour, but there is a lot of friends of me. They are atheists. They told me that evolution make them see that we were not on the right way of thinking. I read about evolution really late. Like I was atheist for a couple of years.
So it didn't work for you. So what? Yeah.
It's the universe. It's the universe itself.
How did it do that for you?
Because it can be designed from a being, from someone has intelligent. A lot of stuff that's. I remember I was thinking about the stars. The stars, we have billions of stars in our galaxy and much more in other galaxies. And most of that stars, 99.99% of them have or doesn't have planets, or have planets, but there is no life in it.
Or they do and we don't know.
Well, the planet is not in the habitable zone.
Are you referring?
That's what we know.
I don't think we know anything about planets outside of our galaxy. Look, there's billions of galaxies.
We only know if they are in the habitable zone or not. Or even let's think about our sun as a star. I think that's a lot of waste energy. These all stars, all the suns, and there's suns or stars bigger than our sun, like 1,000 times in diameter. Why this waste energy? And even our sun, like it can 360 degrees sending photons, lights, and energy. We're getting 0.0001.
Yeah, that wasn't a problem for me at all. I don't see, and I still don't have a problem with it now. I had something else. I had I learned those things early while I was still a Muslim, and my first thought was not that they contradict, it's that God made them. God made the universe. God made everything the way it is. God made evolution. And then the way I saw like the Adam and Eve story, like that's symbolism. Because I know you can't have two humans starting the whole human race because of genetic problems.
Yeah.
You can't have that. The first humans was a lot more than just two of them.
Yeah. Millions of cells. They were millions of cells. That's the first human.
Oh, that's how far you're going back. Yeah, but you can go back more recent and say, it's thousands of individuals that evolved from an earlier version. And we know of if we go back 200,000 years, there were 4 different human species.
Yeah, human erectus was before us. We are the human sapiens.
4 living at the same time, I mean.
Yeah.
And there was more before that, of course. And 3 of them died, and we're still here. And it's more complex than that. We actually have a percentage of our genes that came from them.
Yes.
So people in Europe, 3% of their genes came from Neanderthals, which were in Europe. And people in East Asia got 3% of their genes from Denisovans. They were in East Asia. Stuff like that. Like, it's not so clean, like we're separate from the things before us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they try to say, you know, why is it that you know, the other humanoid species are not here anymore? Why is it only us? And they go further than that. Where's all the in-between species, you know, in between the, let's say, the existing other apes that we have and us? And they tried to say, you know, when they ask that question, they think it's a gotcha question, and they think it contradicts evolution. It does not, you know, because they asked that thing. You always tell me this. How come monkeys don't evolve into humans today?
Because they were monkeys all the time.
Well, and they have, they are very well adapted to their environment. They don't need to change. And anyway, we are here now. We're pushing everyone else away from evolving into us. Does that make any sense to people? Do you understand what I'm saying, Zorro?
Evolving like monkeys to human. That's what you meant?
What I mean is, because we are here now,
Yeah.
that puts a pressure on other species to not evolve like us, because they can't.
Because we did a civilization.
We're in the way.
Yeah.
The reason it happened before is because there was no intelligent being yet to compete with.
Yeah. We dominate the planets. We can beat even animals that's bigger and stronger than us. We become the strongest with science and civilization.
And not physically strongest, actually.
No, not physically.
Yeah, not physically, but success in well, not dying out. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Let me say some of these comments. Mulhad Islam says, theology and Big Bang in one sentence. Come on, this is sheer kufr. And then he says, we're talking about the all-powerful Allah, and he couldn't even give us a pen and paper to write his message, words and commands. And what he's referring to there is the Quran wasn't written down during Muhammad's time. It was written down afterwards. Is that what he's talking about? Why didn't they write it down right away? Why didn't Muhammad write it down?
Why there is no messages today, or not necessarily prophets? Maybe they say the prophet is no more. But why there is no sign, messages?
Dude,
they should think this
there's
way.
Other religions that came after Muhammad. There's Mormonism.
Yeah, let's not talk only about Islam. Let's talk about every religion.
Well, look, according to Islam, he was the last one, Muhammad.
Yeah.
But let's say that was an infusion to lie or whatever. You know, there have been ones after Muhammad, like Mormonism.
If you ask any person that's follow X religion, any religion, and ask him, what's your God doing today? They won't answer you, because all the stories is to tell you, my God did this 1,000 years ago, did this 2,000 years ago. But nobody answer you what he's doing today, because there is no sign of him.
Well, maybe a different question to ask is, why is God not doing anything now versus back then?
Did he forget about us? Did he die?
It's part of the test, man. Did that end so many conversations?
Yeah. What is the test?
He had to make it hard for us. Look, if he made the test too easy, then we'd all be Muslims and no one gets punished.
Yeah.
Some of us had to get punished, otherwise the test doesn't make sense, right? He's grading us on a curve. You get what I mean?
Like I tell you, I'm pretty sure if these people who are saying these ideas, if they grow up in a different culture, different parents, they will be much smarter than that. They will be open-minded.
It could be worse parents, and they could be dumber.
Yeah.
But go ahead and say the best.
I do understand.
The best parents.
It is hard to get out from a culture you've been in for 20, 30, 40 years. It's not that easy.
What if Einstein was your dad?
I'll be much smarter, I guess.
right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of pissed off.
Yeah. Well,
I got my parents. No, nothing against my parents.
we can't choose that, you know.
Hopefully they're not listening.
We can only open our eyes like 25 years, 30 years later. And you say, what the hell I was doing? What the hell I was thinking for
Yeah.
20 years? Yeah. That's what happened to me.
By the way, one day I think we
I
should
was
do an
thinking I'm the only
episode.
one. Sorry.
One day I want you on again. We do an episode and we talk about the really stupid things we did while we were Muslims.
Yeah.
And that'll be fun. I'm going to write that down, actually. The really stupid things we did when we were Muslims. Maybe we should say some stupid things we did afterwards, too.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be fair.
Yeah.
I did plenty afterwards, too.
Life is learning. Life is a big school. The good things about it, we should learn after our mistake. We shouldn't stay dumb.
Yeah, I mean, another way to say it, and I'm borrowing words from other people here. Karl Popper says life is a series of experiments.
Exactly.
Karl Popper says all life is problem solving.
Yeah.
He wrote a book by that title. What's another way to say it? Focusing on the word mistakes. All learning is by mistakes. You try something, you look for mistakes, you find the mistakes, you creatively try to think of how to overcome that, and then afterwards you're not making that mistake anymore. And I don't mean 100%, but yeah.
That's why they tell you this guy have more experience than you in stuff in the field. That means he been in more problems than you, and he
made more mistakes than you. He made more mistakes than you and learned from them more than you.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say.
There's another way I want to talk about this too. I've said this many times. I try to say to people, but this is for other people. So not only do we want to learn from our own mistakes, I want to try to learn from other people's mistakes before I even commit those mistakes. Okay?
That's so good. Yeah, I'm trying to do that also, even in my work. I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why you go through training.
Yeah.
And the way I like to say it is, imagine you're on a path in a forest, and then you didn't see a hole, but you fell in the hole, and you got hurt a little bit, and you climbed out, and you continue on your path, and you didn't do anything extra. So without thinking, if you didn't think about it, you keep walking. The next guy coming through that path also falls in there. Well, maybe that first guy could have put up a sign. Hey, there's a hole here. Put an arrow, to teach other people about the mistakes he made.
Yeah.
That's what we should be doing. And that leads to the idea that you don't only want to look at what people say today. You want to look at what people have been saying since the beginning of humans. We gave an example earlier in this hour where I was talking about the all swans are white concept, and people make this mistake today, but this mistake was discovered and explained in the year 1,200 years ago, 1,200 years ago. This mistake was made and explained for people. I'm sure the mistake was made a million times before that too, but somebody figured it out how it's a mistake, and he's saying, don't make this mistake anymore, everyone, please. And then maybe some people learned it, and then that knowledge maybe got forgotten, but it's not really forgotten. Philosophers have been learning about it. I mean, that's where I learned about it. It was when I was studying philosophy, way after college, by the way, and after Islam too. But it was in the year 200 when this thing came out, and I'm learning it now. But and people are defining it as if they have some new idea today, like they're inventing ideas out of a vacuum. They're reinventing the wheel. Yeah, learn from all humans and past humans, not just from your own mistakes, and
Yes.
not just from humans today.
Yes, of course. This is useful in not only in thinking, it's even in your safety, in your life, in your future. Useful in every way. Make you smarter. You think better when you learn mistakes from others. Not only
The
wait
only way that
things
allows for
happen to you.
progress and the alternative guarantees stagnation. It guarantees that whatever false theories you have today will stay that way. And the method that allows for progress, it recognizes, yeah, lots of our theories are wrong, but we're ready to improve on them now. And let's go back to the Big Bang. We recognize our Big Bang theory and general relativity could be wrong. Actually, we know it's wrong in the sense that we know there's going to be a better theory in the future that refutes Einstein's general relativity. Maybe I should explain what I mean now a little bit. I guess I should do that. I've talked about this a lot with Usama, and I guess we talk about it again next week with Usama. But all of our physics theories, the way physicists understand them is they are wrong. Wrong in the sense that we're going to find a better one in the future.
Yeah. Always updating. Yeah.
Always updating. And like, suppose in the future we did find a theory that was correct in the sense that it actually 100% accurately describes reality. Well, we wouldn't know that we found it. Because we wouldn't know that that theory doesn't have mistakes in it. We have no way of knowing that.
Exactly.
We can't predict in the future what mistakes. We can't right now predict what mistakes we're going to find in the future of our knowledge that we have now.
Exactly. Just like the past people didn't know the mistake we found now about them. And
Yeah.
that will keep going.
Yeah. Now, here's another way to say this. Karl Popper says it this way. We cannot predict the growth of knowledge.
Yes.
So, like, we know Einstein's theory is wrong. Well, let me say a little bit more. It contradicts some of the things we know in quantum mechanics. There's a contradiction there. The resolution to that means a new theory will come. Somebody will invent a new theory that resolves the contradiction between general relativity and quantum mechanics. Now, if you ask, what is that theory going to be? I have no idea. There's no way to know that. Like, because if you could know that now, that means you already created it.
You will have the Nobel Prize.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah. So it's always updating. I don't think the update will stop as long as human civilization is on.
Yes. Even if it's a million years from now.
Yes. It will always continue like that. For example, like Einstein, you mentioned Einstein. He was like kind of Newton theory updating with Einstein. Because Einstein included the small particle stuff. Newton theory didn't include the quantums and
what Newton's theory. So I read Einstein's book, Relativity, General Relativity, and the first thing he says in there, the first contradiction he mentions in Newton's conception of gravity is that it doesn't account for light. Light doesn't follow Newton's conception of gravity. So Einstein recognized that as a contradiction. His resolution to that contradiction was his general relativity. Now, here's the point. General relativity, if you input into the formula that the object that we're talking about is not going anywhere near the speed of light, and it's not very small, I think that's what it is, or no, doesn't have a lot of mass, and then you do some algebraic manipulation of that formula, what pumps out in the end is Newton's formula about gravity. So what that means is that Newton's theory became a special case of Einstein's theory, not a completely different thing.
Yes. And we are waiting to, in the future.
Well, you and I are waiting because we're not working on it.
Yeah. Another brilliant man to make Einstein theory is a case of his new theory, and that's exactly what continue on and on. Yeah,
exactly. When the next physicist, hold on, I got a drink.
That's the greatness of science. It has updates. Other stuff no updates. Other cultural, or traditional, religious ideas, it's barely update. The greatness of science is always accept updates. Some people,
let's be more clear for people. Let's be more clear for people. There are things that update, and I say what they're doing is science. And even if you don't want to call it science, that's fine. We can call it something else like reason, and or philosophy. And now to clarify people for a little bit further, science is an extension of philosophy. The original people that we call physicists today, like Newton, back then they called him a natural philosopher, a philosopher that worked on nature.
Yes.
So there are fields, that are not traditionally known as scientific fields that are making progress, but it's because they are doing the same methods that they do in science. Which means things like, critical discussion. If something's wrong, you throw it out. These kind of things, these same things that they do in science. And the reason that they do it in science was because, these things were known beforehand. Actually, to be clear, I remember, and I wish I could find it again, but I've looked for it and I couldn't find it. I remember reading something from ancient Greece, and that sentence to me looked like what the scientific method is. Now, of course, it had to evolve a lot more after that, but no one actually tried the thing that was stated about the scientific method in a serious way until, another 1,000 years later, or less than that, but many centuries. And I remember that what the idea was. It's so simple. If you have a theory, if you make a theory that says something about physical reality, go and it's going to make predictions about physical reality. Now go check that it actually adheres to reality.
Yeah.
That checking is the experiment that we talk about today. The scientific experiment.
Yeah, if you can't put it in experiments, then and you cannot prove it through experiment and checking, then it's false.
But to be clear, we mean experiment in principle, because it's possible that a experiment could happen in principle, meaning that we don't have the technology yet, but we can find the technology in the future. So Einstein's theory of gravity, at the time, they did not have the technology to do any of the experiments, but the experiments were already things they could imagine, and they did imagine, and then they did have the technology, and then they tested it, and all of those results agreed with the theory, except for the stuff related to quantum mechanics.
Yeah, 40 years later, after he died.
Yes, so let's say what they are, okay? So, I don't know all of them, by the way, but some of them are just predictions. So, Einstein's theory of gravity doesn't correctly predict what happens with Mercury, its orbit. And Einstein's theory does correctly predict what happens with Mercury's orbit. Okay, so that's the first thing. And another thing is, according to Einstein's theory, the faster you go, the closer you get to the speed of light, the slower time goes for you. So the way they tested this was they took two atomic clocks. Atomic clock is just a clock that is very accurate. It uses something about the atoms. I don't know how it works. And they synced the two atomic clocks, and then they kept one on Earth, and they put one in orbit in space, and they went around a bunch, and then they brought it back and checked the times, and the one that was going around in space, its time went slower. And it agreed with the prediction that Einstein's theory gave for it. And then they did I don't know, the two other things that his theory says is that as you go closer to the speed of light, your mass increases. And then the third one is as you go closer to the speed of light, your length decreases.
I think your mass decreases when you are near the speed.
No, mass increases.
Increases, okay.
Increases. I was reminded last week or 2 weeks ago by Usama.
It's E equal MC square. That's the equation you're talking about.
Hey, listen. Dino Kastura says, "What are you talking about? A man has appeared in the UK claiming to be successor to Imam Mahdi. What do you say of his claim? Of this claim?" He was talking about how we were saying there's no more new prophets.
Yeah, but I can say I'm a successor to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and so
everybody can say anything,
but here's the point: there are new prophets.
No, that is not a prophet. It's just under prophet. What he's saying, he's claiming he's something lower rank than prophet.
Imam. Why is lower? Something. Why it has to be lower? Because he's saying it's still Islam or still.
Because he said Imam Mahdi. Imam is not a prophet. Imam is, let's say, the come after the prophet. Like the prophet is higher rank. So he didn't say there is another new prophet. He said Imam or something.
His name is Abdullah Hashim.
Oh, okay. My greetings to him.
Oh, look at this. Imam is higher than prophet.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Wrong. Yeah. All right. Well, we're just past an hour. I think we talked about all the things we want to talk about. I think this is a very good overview of this issue before we bring on our expert. I'm kind of glad that Usama couldn't make it today.
Well, like you said, it's how ordinary people, not expert like me, how things about life, about universe, about ideas, evolution, Big Bang, all that. You don't need to be science,
right?
Right.
Although we both got educations that helped us get to this level, right? I mean, I studied physics in college. Of course, there was good stuff before that too. I don't know if you're willing to say your thing because you're anonymous, but it's a similar field where physics is important in that field. And so, you're learning
engineering, yes,
the kind of thinking that scientists do.
Yes. Engineering.
Yes. And to be clear, if an engineer doesn't really learn physics, they actually do their job poorly.
Yeah, it's the backbone of engineering, the physics.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, we got educations in scientific stuff. So yeah, I recommend learn some scientific thinking. That's what I recommend.
Well, the problem would be solved big time if every people think scientifically, logically, rationally, than just believe in an old story from parents and grandparents and keep going. And every generation, I'm sure, is getting updates. I mean, is getting modifications. The story modified many times through generations, and it reached you the way you heard it. This is no science in that. There is no logic in that.
Yeah, you just made me think of something. ever since humans were able to like make ideas,
Mm.
and when they started making the first mythologies, I mean, there was nothing stopping them because they weren't thinking scientifically yet. There's no way to rule out these mythological theories because they don't have the scientific logic that would do it. And they just kept making more and more and more and more of them.
Yeah, to fight science as well. It has to be, it has to have some adding to the story, because science is getting stronger and more and more, and it's
Well,
more logic, more
I'm talking
convincing.
really old, long before even any science. You know, like really old, like if you go back, I don't know, like some of these things are 5,000 years old, right?
Yeah,
Maybe older even. You know, and by the way, not even just superstitions that survived till today that we know about. There's superstitions that started and died a long time ago.
true. Yeah.
Actually, let's talk about a very early one. Maybe the earliest that I can think of.
Mm.
You know, they found burial sites of the earliest burial sites. It's like 30,000 or 50,000 years ago. And if we ask, you know, why did humans start burying the dead? And then more than that, why they started putting their belongings when they were alive into the burial site. I think they did that because they thought there's a soul and they continue living after that.
Mm.
And that is like the first mythology, the first superstition.
Mm.
And it's really old, really old.
What if I tell you I met a girl from Asia? I think they are Buddhist, and she think her father died. Her father died, but she think his soul it's alive somewhere as a butterfly or a cow or an animal or a bird. So she stopped killing these animals. Maybe one of them is her father. That's
Oh shit.
yeah, that stays alive in some parts of the world. This superstitious ideas. So don't underestimate these ideas. They are somewhere. If they are not in Islam, they are somewhere else.
Oh yeah, I mean, okay, you made
Yeah.
me remember another point that we should make. These superstitions, you know, people are coming up with them over the past 50,000 years, and different cultures are coming up with different ones. And then each culture sees the other culture's superstitions as stupid,
Yeah.
but not their own.
Yeah, mine is smart, and mine is the best, and mine is the right one. Everyone says that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The superstitions I learned from my parents, those are the ones that are right. But the superstitions that your parents told you, those are dumb.
Yeah. 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 Even within a religion, the what do you call the tribes? Even that they have differences within one religion. Also, everyone criticize the other ideas.
Yeah, it's not even to do with religions. Let's do the example where it's the same religion, same sect.
Yeah.
You take a Sunni Muslim who grew up in Syria and a Sunni Muslim who grew up in Sudan. Yeah, they will have some of the same superstitions, but they have a whole bunch that are different, that are only from those respective countries.
Yeah.
So when one of these people is saying the other guy's superstitions are dumb, he's saying the other guy who's also of the same sect as me has dumb superstitions.
Yeah.
And it's no different than the God thing, where my God is true, but the other 3,000 gods that you guys believe in, that's retarded.
Yeah. You don't find that in atheists, like I will say the educated atheists. You don't find like you bring atheists from Brazil.
Well, I'm gonna have to stop you there.
Japan, and they will have the same ideas. They will not have the superstitions.
No. Let me stop you there. So in America, and I'm guessing this is true everywhere, there's tons of atheists who believe in all sorts of superstitions, and they don't recognize them as superstitions, of course. Their main problem is they never learned scientific thinking. And so like, as an example, superstition that they believe in, there's a ton of Americans who believe in, what's it called, astrology, the idea that our personalities are controlled by the movement of the stars.
I think that's come from religion. One of them.
Okay, but it's atheists that believe it, is the point.
I don't know. We shouldn't call them atheists for me personally.
Oh, yeah. Why though? Because I don't think what you're saying makes sense, because lots of the ideas that we call from religion today, they existed before religions.
And religion adopt them. Yeah.
Okay, and now if somebody believes that thing and doesn't believe in God, why would you say he's religious or believes in God when that idea came before the concept of God even?
Well, when I started my sentence, I said educated atheist, not superstitious.
Did you? Oh,
yeah.
I thought you just said atheist. I don't think you did. I think you're injecting that.
I don't know why.
I think you're doing the cart before the horse thing, just like the theists.
Yes.
Yeah, educated atheist, that's different.
I have a friend. He is English. He believes in good luck and bad luck in a way. For example, like he doesn't like he smokes. He doesn't like a yellow lighter. He said,
yes, dude, that is such a big thing. Yes. Listen, that's such a big thing that
I don't understand it. Why yellow is bad? Why?
But let's say how real it is. If you go to a bunch of gas stations and look at what lighters they have, you will see no one's buying the yellow ones.
Oh, even here in America. Oh my God, I didn't know, because
yes,
he's English. He lives in UK.
It's in America too, man. I don't know what's wrong with yellow and only lighters.
It's just hoax. They believe in hoax. They believe in something out of logic.
But at least they don't believe in jinn and possessions.
Well, what's the difference?
Oh, I'll tell you the difference. Yes, it's affecting their life a little bit, but believing in jinn and possession ruins your life way more than believing in, what was it that you just said? I already forgot. Bad luck? Something bad luck?
The lighter.
Oh, yeah. the yellow lighter,
your life, huh?
The yellow lighter is going to give you bad luck. And how does that affect you exactly? I don't know. You hit more red lights or something? I don't know.
It's because the lighter is not because of you. Yeah. I don't understand it, actually. I don't understand that. But when I met like real atheists, let's say, educated atheists from different parts of the world, I can agree with them 99% of, maybe 100%. Why 99 of the ideas when we talk about these stuff?
Like superstitions, you mean?
Yes, there is no BS about lighter and jinn and suns.
Yeah, because they figured out how to tell the difference between a superstition and an actual idea that can make progress, a scientific idea.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. How many?
How many what? Sorry, say again.
Like how many people are of the one kind versus the other? You've been around the world a lot more than me.
Yeah, the majority about atheists, majority are rationals. The people you talk about, you see them in internet. I don't meet them often. I don't see them. I don't think they are atheists. Even I don't know. I really cannot give a judgment, but
maybe they're the ones who are really agnostic.
Yeah, when you meet, when two religious people meet from same religion, different religion, if they talk about this topic, they usually don't. But if they do talk, they will never agree. I remember one time I have a friend for many years, and we try avoid this or it didn't happen. We never talk about religion. One time, just one time, I was questioning about religion stuff, and we didn't agree at all. And he was kind of upset with me because he didn't agree with me. I'm okay with if I don't agree with you. I won't be upset or I won't hate you. But he was kind of upset with me. But that had never happened with atheists from any time, from anywhere from the world. We don't have differences. You see the same idea, the same logic, the same way of thinking. If he is from Middle East, if he is the rational atheist, the real atheist, I'm telling you. If he is from South America, if he is in the North Pole, or he is in Africa, they have the same things. And that's the religion, any religion in the world doesn't have.
So to make a point about what you're saying, believing in God keeps us separated.
Exactly.
And
that's what
not believing in God and being rational makes us converge.
Yes, because 1 + 1 = 2. If you believe in that equation, why we argue? Why we become different? That's atheism. That's how I see it. But the other ways, no. It can't be that simple equation.
Because they're saying my God is right, your God is wrong.
Yeah. And they hate each other sometimes. They kill each other. And that's what I want to say, because my charge is going low. And that's one of the goals of your organization, United of the Cults. I learn whenever I have a free time. I listen, I learn. It's good things, like it's really useful, and it has a noble goal: stop apostasy. Because if really
not stop apostasy, stop stop making apostasy a crime.
Yes, okay, that. Because if that really happened, achieved, let's say 50 years from now, 100 years, whatever it takes, if that happened, you can't imagine how that's good in many other things will happen in different parts of the world. That will make people accepting each other if they are different, make people living with each other, make people living safely, and that's even make life better and everywhere. All that apostasy or hating each other or killing each other just because he born in different color or different color.
It helps us collaborate instead of be adversarial with each other.
I just encourage whoever hear us, like support this organization. It's small now. Hopefully, it will be bigger in the future. Support us, share this organization, and share any good ideas that makes the world better in the future.
And subscribe to the channel so you see these things. So you see Zorro with us again some other time.
I'm not a big talker.
And next week, we're going to continue this discussion about the Big Bang. Yeah. What put the bang in the Big Bang, God or something else. And we're going to have our expert with us, Usama.
Greeting to Usama.
Yes.
I watch him. I like him. He's really good.
Yeah. And just to remind everyone to follow up on what Zorro was saying, to support us, the way to do that, or the first thing I would say, I mean, aside from, let's say, subscribing to the channel, is to read, sign, and share the End Apostasy Laws Manifesto. The link is in the description. And then to join us June 14th for the first anniversary of Uniting the Cults. And that's it, everyone. We're going to go ahead and stop it now because Zorro's battery is about to die. All right, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye. Take it easy.
Thank you for joining us.